Hi, I'm Jonah Comstock, Editor-in-Chief of Pharma Forum. I'm here at LSX in Boston, and I'm joined by
Milenko
Milenko Cicmil.
Cicmil, I'm Milenko Cicmil, scientist by training and CEO of Tasca Therapeutics.
Yes, you're the CEO of Tasca Therapeutics. Tasca just had some big news out about the first patient dosed in a phase 1/2 trial. Tell me a little bit about the asset here.
Yeah, so we are very excited to announce that we dosed first patient a couple of weeks ago, and it's oncology. It's in We are pursuing the colorectal, small cell lung cancer, and head and neck cancer indication for our lead asset CP383. It's a molecule that originally originates from technology from Harvard and MGH, and it targets unique metabolic pathway for cancer. I've been in this business for 25 years and working in big pharma and biotech, and I haven't seen in vivo efficacy compared to this particular asset. Hence, that was one of the reasons why I stepped out of the Cure Ventures, where I was a full-time partner to run company full-time as a co-founder and convert myself into the venture partner.
So there's colorectal is just this first indication, but there's a lot more potential for this technology, right?
Absolutely. Our molecule also, what we found is that was built in by design because molecules are quite lipophilic. Our molecule crosses the blood-brain barrier. So we have a potential from the brain metastases as well as a glioblastoma. There's a significant proportion of our molecule that are partitioning in a brain, and that will enable us to go and interrogate and potentially provide the benefit to patients with brain metastases as well as glioblastoma. The mechanism of action that we're targeting in this particular situation is really the starving the cell of pyrimidine synthesis. And as you know, that IDH1 mutant in glioblastoma, they're very sensitive to pyrimidine synthesis, and they're actually, as a matter of fact, addicted to pyrimidine synthesis. So that's what we try to do here.
That's really interesting. And yeah, how is this kind of give me a picture of how novel this is compared to what's out there?
So this is the first in class. So there's no such a molecule as this one. So that's why we're excited when we seeded this company in 2022 and started working on this. We are as you can imagine, progressed this very fast, and within a space of 3 years, we completed IND enabling studies and dosed the first patient. Molecule was originally designed and proposed at Harvard and MGH, and then when we set up Tasca, we could, continued optimizing SAR, and eventually our lead candidate was designed and formulated as it is now. So we are at the moment at that stage where we are pursuing indication and with a specific biomarker. In my genetic biomarker, these are loss of function mutants in particular genes that are rendering those cells to be more sensitive to our molecule. These all four particular gene loss of function mutants, they are on Foundation Medicine panel and Tempus panel, so therefore we don't have to do our own biomarker studies, which save lots of time and enable quick recruitment. So we are very excited about it, and hopefully will provide the benefit to the patient as we go forward. So trial will be about 120 people in total. We expect to complete that trial in about 2.5 to 3 years time. And we have the money to do that because we just raised, not just, but we raised previously, $67 million to enable us to do that. That was the whole A round. In addition to lead asset, we have this unique auto-palmitylation platform that basically identifies a very unique site on the proteins, and that lipid site is the place where we want to drug the protein. So much so that we give a name Tasca to company, which means pocket in Italian. So we're actually interrogating and drugging very unique pocket. The science is about 7 to 8 years old, which means biotech and biology is nothing, and originates from this guy from Harvard and MGH, Professor Zhu Wu, who is the really father of this auto-palmitylation space.
So this event, LSX, is often about biotechs connecting with big pharmas, connecting with other partners and investors like
Yeah.
yourself. And are you here kind of in your capacity with Tasca or as an investor? What are some of the conversations you're having, panels you've been on, things like that?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. There's a couple of different aspects and facets here. So first one is obviously I'm CEO of Tasca and I'm representing Tasca here, talking to a couple of consultants because, as you know, these days there's a really plethora and really high quality people going around that can consult, and they're fractional CMOs, fractional CMC guys, fractional CFOs, etc., etc. So I think in that capacity, that's the first sort of area. The second one is that there is lots of CROs around here, which is trying to
Yeah.
sell the services. So that's another attractive area. But finally, my venture hat, looking for the various opportunities here, potentially companies that might be of interest. I just came across one interesting company that have some small molecule in a close to our space, but interrogating some other cysteine reactive drugability screen. So I think this is something that I would like to kind of maybe bring it back to Pure Ventures and see whether they might be interested. Having said that, as you know, the market is not very kind to these early stage companies. Every VCs would like to have this a more clinical stage company in order to flip that card very quickly within a space of 18 to 24 months to see whether they can have exit. And that's unfortunately hampering a little bit of a science that what we, in the platform space. But I hope some of the worst time is behind us because from what I can see here a little bit, there are some green shoots and there are some, movement and hopefully if macroeconomics improves, then our sector will also start marching upwards.
One thing I've heard in a couple of panels is just this notion that biotechs are doing the early work, pharma possibly coming in through licensing or acquisition and doing the later work. But as a biotech in the early stages, you still have to think about the problems that are going to be faced later with the asset, even if you're not the one who's going to have to deal with them. And things like manufacturing, things like
Correct.
Making sure the study is done properly and in all the ways. I mean, how do you think about sort of like, that balancing between being a nimble startup and working with the funding that you have, but also like making sure you're setting up the asset for long-term success?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. So, for example, I mean, one thing springs to mind, which is the CMC and manufacturing and cost of goods. So, I think I would advise every company at stage when they have an asset in lead optimization stage to start kicking off some of the CMC discussions, making sure that products can be manufactured, they can be manufactured at a reasonable price, and then the timelines and the places where the manufacturing is really important because you want to go with a reputable CDMO rather than company that no one ever heard of.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at Merck, and I also worked in Merck business development for a short period of time, and later in Ipsen for a little bit longer as well. But the key to successful business deal and in licensing or partnership is to have a good CMC. I've been part of a couple of the deal with Merck where the asset was biology was great, even efficacy was great, but the CMC wasn't. And believe it or not, these deals were not done because if you don't have a good CMC, you incur huge delays. So I would advise every small company, as soon as your asset is close to nomination or even in lead optimization stage, to start thinking about the CMC. These days you can do this fractionally with the fractionals that does help, so you don't have to bring that in-house. And that's a great benefit of this current environment, that you actually have access to these very, very good and smart people who can potentially provide that advice for the reasonable price rather than build that capability in-house. So that's one thing. The second one is often people don't think about the deals in terms of licensing, what kind of royalties they sign with the various academic institutions. If your royalties are high, pharma will not like it because pharma doesn't want to pay 10% for royalties to anyone else. So therefore, these are the type of things that you need to consider. And finally, where you do your R&D package and how you do it, who help you with that regulatory part, an aspect of it is really important. These are all the really key elements. And then how much money to raise. Do you raise enough? Do you raise more than you need so you get diluted? Do you kind of raise only what you need for next 2 years and then run out of money? So these are all elements that I would, that sort of current CEOs or, the CEOs in general should really consider very carefully.
That's fascinating
Yeah.
stuff. What's next for Tasca? I mean, obviously, finish this trial, but what does the roadmap look like?
So next for Tasca is there's a couple of avenues. First one is obviously we pursuing our 383 really hard for these oncology indications. But in addition to that, we're pushing two more projects forward from our pipeline. And these both projects are going to be in oncology, and they both have this unique autopermethylation pocket. But in addition to that, what we identified that through our platform that this phenomena of autopermethylation has about really between 5 to 7% of the total proteome is autopermethylated. So that opening the door for the range of targets for us that previously were considered undruggable. So we now are building the platform that is not only going to be able to target oncology targets, but goes outside oncology. About a third of the targets that I just described, about over 1,000, fall into the category of oncology. However, there's the 2/3 that are neuro, autoimmune, and metabolic targets, and we building the part of organization that's going to be enabled to go after those targets, but go in a very selective manner, potentially in a partnership with pharma. Because what I don't want to build organization that we are jack of all trades, master of none. We are still focused on oncology, but we are very, open-minded or open to collaboration with pharma, with area outside oncology, and that's how we're going to build that aspect of the autopermethylation platform.
Great. Well, thank you so much for talking to me, Milenko. I really appreciate it.
Likewise,
And
it's
good
been a
luck with
pleasure.
everything.
Thank you.